welcome to Making Connections, an expert series presented by Brennan Industries. I'm your host, Kenesha Johnson. Today, we are joined by two guests. First, Sam Patillo, President and CEO of Singer Equities. Thanks for coming on the show today, Sam.
Thank you, Kenesha. I'm really looking forward to it.
Additionally, we're also joined by Brad Rico, Executive Vice President of Brennan Industries. Glad to have you, Brad.
Thank you very much, Kenesha. Happy to be here. And thank you, Sam, for joining.
Awesome. So to start with, we'd like to learn a bit about today's guest. Sam, can you tell us a little about who Singer Equities is and what they do?
Sure. Singer Equities is a full-service hose, conveyor belt, and gasket company. We have locations throughout the U.S. and Canada, over 50 in total. We keep the company name, employee, and culture when we acquire companies. We have a lot of different brands underneath our belt. We like to keep the name and the culture and the capabilities at a local level because we only buy healthy companies and we want to continue in that tradition. We fabricate industrial hose, hydraulic hose, metal hose, all sorts of other types of hoses. We sell fittings alongside those hoses. We also sell and install conveyor belts, and we have multiple fabrication capabilities when it comes to gaskets as well.
Great. And Sam, what is one thing you wish people knew about your industry or job?
What I love most about my job, and those that know me best have heard me say before, that I love the people that I work with. We have a very strong camaraderie at Singer Equities. But we also have strong relationships with our vendors. We all work very hard in our industry, but we also have a lot of fun. No one in the rubber industry takes themselves too seriously, as Brad and I always say to each other. But there's a lot of smart people in our company that complement, what I do. And I feel that that's the strength of our company. And what I also love about my job is that it's not cookie cutter. We've made so many acquisitions over the years that every Singer company is different and have different capabilities, different employees and skill sets. So every time I travel and visit these companies, I'm always impressed with who I meet. And I just love that I'm learning something new every day. So it's that continuous learning that keeps me fresh.
That's awesome. What would you say Singer Equities offers that is unique from your competitors?
Well, as I mentioned before, it's the variety of products and services that we offer our customers. And we believe in speed and autonomy at the local level. Some of our larger competitors might have fabricating warehouses throughout the country, but with us and having over 50 locations, it's important for us to have local talent and autonomy, quote speed, and fabrication capabilities at every one of our locations so that we can quickly service and quote our customers and have that local touch point.
Excellent. Now, Sam, how do you see mergers changing the landscape of the industry?
Yeah, mergers have definitely changed the landscape of the industry, especially in the last 10 years. There's been a lot of acquisitions. We are on the acquisition side, thankfully. So we can control our own destiny and purchase very strong and very profitable companies to make us stronger. So the way it's kind of tipped the scale is that the competitive landscape is definitely tipped in favor of those larger companies that are making acquisitions. There are a lot of owners out there of some smaller mom and pop distributors that do offer very strong local service and capabilities, but it's very difficult for them to compete against the larger companies that have been acquiring others in the space.
And Brad, would you say you've seen these shifts as well?
Kenesha, we definitely recognize the changing environment within the industry. The mom and pop shops, the entrepreneurs that started those companies, great individuals, they're getting to an age where they're starting to sell their businesses. It's changing how we have to deal with these companies. The good thing about Singer Equities is when they do acquire these companies, a lot of those entrepreneurs are staying on board, and that technology and that information that they've brought to this industry, it's staying with it. So that's kind of unique and that's special, and we're happy that Singer can provide that for this industry.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. And when we acquire companies, we're acquiring a knowledge base, not just their revenue. Especially as you acquire more and more companies, you have growing pains of your own. So it's really important for us, and it gives us relief that we can rely on that local talent. So it's really good when we have the second or third generation company that we acquire, that they also have their own bench strength, to strengthen what we bring to the market, which is that knowledge and that the product segment as well. So we do look at acquisition from a strategic standpoint. We do offer a lot of different product types, so we have a lot of opportunities to acquire different distributors within that product space. And it also helps with our relationship with our vendors. As Brad mentioned, as we grow, they want to grow with us, and they have to look at Singer and those other acquirers in a different light, and the way that we want to work together and go and grow market share.
With all of these changes, Sam, do you think small independent distributors are going to make it?
Yeah, I think some of them will still make it. A lot of times there's a particular niche they may have. There may be some specialty product that they fabricate for one or two large OEs in their geography. And they basically build a moat around their business where other competitors can't attack them. At the same time, those are the ones we like to target because we know they have that strong business model. And if they're focused on certain customers and we can't bring that to market, we like to add that to our portfolio. At the same time, some might not make it. And I think they're reading the tea leaves, especially having lived through the pandemic. This could be their third or fourth, down cycle to our industry. And they might not have the stomach to live through another one. And with revenue and profitability so high right now in our space, we have seen a lot of increased acquisition activity as of late.
And what about you, Brad? Do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I think Sam knocked it out of the park on his response. These smaller companies, they do have one very important thing, the ones that are thriving right now, and they have great relationships. Those relationships are incredibly strong at the customer supplier level. So they do a great job there. As Sam also said, with the market going crazy right now, the increases that we're seeing in our space on our sales, it kind of translates to the entire industry, whether the channel is OEM or it's distribution. In distribution, kind of national distributors or independent, there's an uptick in business right now. And as Sam mentioned, we're seeing the acquisition side as well. Few acquisitions that we're also looking at. So we're playing in that same game that Singer Equities is competing for. Not the same targets, different targets, but not that you'll ever figure out who Sam is targeting.
So a lot of independent distributors seem to be selling their family businesses at the moment. Sam, why do you think that is?
Well, it could be due to a number of factors. It could be that the next generation isn't willing to take over. It could also be that they haven't really groomed anyone else, even somebody that's not a relative, to take over the business. So they've realized they got to make a move. It's either sell or maybe be eaten down the road.
Yeah.
And again, I really believe, because it's no different than what you've seen with people selling their homes recently. It's the top end of the market, so they know if they're going to sell, now's the time, especially with the economic news and what's on the horizon for all of us.
Yeah. And Brad, do you have any additional theories about why all these businesses are selling?
Yeah, I kind of go back to what I mentioned before, and these entrepreneurs are at the age where they're ready to retire, and they're looking at that transition. And as Sam mentioned, there might not be a legacy or someone to take over that company for them, so they're looking at options.
Yeah, and it does require more capital nowadays too. If you want to compete with the larger distributors in the space or even Amazon, you have to pump a lot of money into your digital footprint, and you have to pump money into hiring a more talented sales force, and put more money into inventory, especially with the rising costs of the inventory that we've seen in the market. Right. It costs a lot more money to do business nowadays, and that could be another reason why they're looking for an exit opportunity.
Okay, that's great insight. Just a few questions left, starting with you, Sam. What does Singer Equity look for in acquisitions?
Well, first and foremost, we acquire profitable businesses. Um, on top of that, we look for a talent pool within that business. We like the owners to stay on as long as possible, but do understand that the owners are selling because they have their eye on retirement. So depending on their age, they may stick around for a couple to 5 years and then retire after that. But typically, we want to make sure that they have talent underneath them that they've been grooming. If not, then we find that talent either within the company and get them through our training programs, or we look to the outside as well. We also look for companies with unique capabilities, whether it's, OE hydraulics or it's, they weld a lot of metal hoses, they install conveyor belts, they offer a lot of service. So we look for those high profit margin and high gross margin opportunities with those higher end product lines and services.
And Brad, what does Brennan look for?
Our strategy, it really consists about what Brennan is all about. Right now, we are a company that manufactures fittings. So we target other companies that are in that space that can complement, kind of the growth for Brennan Industries. So whether it's here in the United States, if it's in the UK, if it's in any of the areas that, we are manufacturing, distributing our products. So we're becoming more of a global company now. So our strategy kind of expands beyond the United States, and we look to the UK, we look to Europe, we look to Canada, and it's more of a global footprint that we're trying to create.
Okay, great. And given all we've talked about today, Sam, where do you think much of this industry and this market is headed?
Well, I tend to be more optimistic on where it's headed. I think we're going to see probably a slower rate of growth in the near term. I don't think there's a recession looming, although some of the pundits out there are pointing to a recession. I think we'll see a slower rate of growth, at least in our industry. I think on the consumer side with retail, that's going to slow down, but I don't know that that's necessarily a sector that will impact us. We still will continue to see strength in construction, agriculture, aggregate, and mining, especially when you consider how strong construction is. The mining industry really follows because you have to have that for the construction that we're going to see in the near and long term. Chemical industry should continue to remain strong as well. Oil and gas, we expect to soften towards the end of this calendar year, but still it's going to be strong as long as oil prices remain high. So overall, a positive outlook. I think we'll see a continuation with acquisitions as well and further consolidation in the industry.
Very interesting. And do you think you have anything you would add to that list, Brad?
The only thing that I would add to that list, it seems like we read a lot of the same economic reports, but I would add that we see a lot of in-country focus now. So what I mean by that is a lot of companies are bringing their manufacturing presence back to the United States, and including Brennan. We're trying to do more manufacturing where the product is being sold. So we're adding more and more equipment at Brennan Industries and in our domestic manufacturing. We're adding more manufacturing capabilities in the UK. We're adding more manufacturing capabilities in Canada and China and other markets that we're currently serving. So we do see a in-country sourcing. And I think that is playing a big part. Would you agree, Sam?
Yeah, totally. And not just with what we've seen with Brennan, but other manufacturers with the onshoring, and not just in the U.S., but, in Mexico as well. Obviously, adding that diversity of manufacturing locations, capabilities, and adding capacity, because what we've seen as of late, not just with people, but it's also manufacturing capacity. We see a lot of manufacturers, either increasing their plant capacity or even announcing new plants that they're building across the globe. And I think the reliance on China especially has been top of everybody's minds.
Well said.
Lastly, based on what you two are seeing, what are your companies doing in response to some of these trends? How about we start with Brad and then give Singer Equities the last word on this?
Well, right now, because of some of the issues that we're seeing, we're adding inventory, more inventory. identifying we're identifying personnel that can come into our company. And we're attacking, younger individuals and trying to lure them into our company. And I mean that truthfully, lure them into the company. We have 14 interns that are working here this summer.
Wow.
And hopefully some of those interns will stay on and continue working with Brennan Industries. So our focus is manufacturing product and adding personnel that can help the growth of our company. And the last point I'd be foolish not to recognize this, but the biggest point is to serve our customers, right? That's always the most important part, and that goes without saying. So, we support all the acquisitions that Sam and his company are responsible and are engaged in. We try to create partnerships with these companies as quickly as possible if there isn't one, and then we look to grow that footprint with their successes.
And what about you, Sam?
Yeah, Brad made a couple of really good points, especially from the recruiting of talent standpoint. We've struggled as well, and we've hired outside recruiting firms to help cast a wider net for good people. We've increased the capabilities in our training programs as well. Especially this past year, we've hired an outside consultant to put our top leaders through a leadership training program that lasted 4 months. And, we've already seen the results of that. As far as where we are right now with supply, it's just been a complete mess. Everybody's been dealing with it, especially now that we have so much product on order, and then we read the economic news and where our industry is forecasted to be towards the end of this year and then the next. What we're going to do is closely monitor our bookings and sales rates. We're going to closely monitor our cash, especially inventory. During times like this, cash is king, as they say, and we're going to monitor the inventory. We're not pulling back on that yet because, to Brad's point, we want to continue to service our customers to the best of our ability, and that takes a lot of inventory. But most importantly, what we do is rely on the strength and commitment of our employees through the tough times. They got us through the pandemic, and we rely on their grit to get us through any times ahead that might be challenging for our company. So since we've lived through the pandemic, which was probably one of the worst downturns I've ever seen and managed a company through, I think we have a playbook now that will prepare us for anything to come.
Very insightful. Well, gentlemen, I can't thank you both enough for joining us for today's interview and for sharing these insights with the rest of us. Sam, we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Kanisha. And Brad, it's always fun spending time with you. Appreciate it.
And Brad, thank you as well.
Thank you, Kanisha, and thanks, Sam. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you all for watching Making Connections, presented by Brennan Industries. We hope you'll join us again for our next expert interview. See you soon.